Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. If you have not already done so, this would be a perfect time to silence your phone. My name is Darlene Anderson Alexander, and I joined this congregation and Unitarian Universalism about 33 years ago. I've participated here in a number of ways over the years, but the UU sorting hat, which Reverend Tony referred to last week, has currently placed me on the Amazing Sunday Services team. Here at UUCD, we welcome all, regardless of age, gender, race, disability, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, religious background, or political affiliation, factors that can sometimes separate people in our larger culture. I'm so glad that you are all able to join us this morning because each of you are an essential part of our gathering today. Whether this is your first time or 1,000th Sunday in our midst, in person or online, we are stronger because you are all with us. Together, we create this community. As a congregation, we have been gathering together for over 200 years. As we work to build a more just world, we respectfully acknowledge that our physical building here on Clapboard Ridge Road is on the traditional unceded land of the Pugwasit people. We are currently actively working on ways to be in relationship with and support the Golden Hill Pugwasit tribe. As an example, we were recently encouraged to comment on a proposed change to the Bureau of Indian Affairs rule preventing tribes that have been denied federal recognition the right to reapply. A modification of this rule would enable tribes a second chance for federal recognition. And in Connecticut, that change would affect the Golden Hill Pugwasit, Checticoke, and Eastern Pequot tribes. I wanted to tell you that 17 out of the 79 comments submitted online, about 22%, came from folks connected to UUCD. So thank you to those who submitted comments, and to Todd, Margaret, and Stanley for bringing this call to action to our attention. This morning, we welcome Gary Holland to our pulpit. Originally from Houston, Gary found himself up north after studying computers and international business at MIT in 1969. For the past 42 years, he has called Ridgefield his home, alongside his wonderful wife of 39 years, Nancy, who's a native nutmegger from Bristol, Connecticut, and their son David blesses them by living in Norwalk. Although he's now retired, Gary's career was predominantly in senior information technology management roles. But in 2021, he discovered a new passion, depolarization. Now volunteering as a dedicated member and leader at local, state, and national levels of Braver Angels, Gary is here to share his journey with us today and tell us about Braver Angels' mission to bring Americans together, to bridge the political divide, and to strengthen our democratic republic. This feels like such an important moment to be discussing this topic, so thank you, Gary, for being with us this morning. Before we get started, though, I invite you to greet your neighbors, either here next to you or joining you as online. Say hello, introduce yourself to someone you haven't met, or wave. Okay. All right, Miss Smith. Thank you, Nell, for ringing our chimes. We just have a couple of announcements before we get started. Next Sunday, our halftime minister, Reverend Tony Lorenzen, will reflect on what it means to accept the invitation of membership in a congregation, and we hope to see you there. And UU Danbury is returning to a live in-person auction this year. Lots of goodies, lots of fun, and we're looking for this major fundraiser to be a huge success. So be thinking about what you can do to help. Maybe donate a dinner, a gift card, or a service. Perhaps help at the in-person event on November 2nd. Contact Barb Myers or Lisa Horton, who I saw. Where's Lisa? Lisa! To volunteer or for more information. We have an important announcement this morning that in the order of service, it says that Together Women Rise will be meeting today, but they will not be. So stay tuned for their next meeting. Do not go to Donna's house at 3 o'clock today. To learn more about what's happening at UUCD, please see your order of service, our weekly email newsletter, and the events calendar on our website at uudanbury.org. Again, welcome. All right, now I would like to invite Hannah up because we make this time and this place holy simply by being together. And we will begin by lighting the flaming chalice, which is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Please join me in reciting this morning's words written by Crystal Hogan to light our chalice as Hannah does that. We ignite this flame, symbol of our faith, to beckon us into community, warm our hearts with love, and give us a light to follow as we carry our faith into action. Wonderful. Now I invite you to rise in body and or spirit and join in singing our song of welcome, We Shall Be Known. Words are in your order of service and also on the screen.
Let's say together our children's affirmation. The words are on the screen. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. Our story today is a book called Same, Same, but Different by Jenny Sue Kostecki Shaw. In art class, I painted a picture of my world. My teacher mailed it across the oceans. This is my world. A boy drew back with colors of the sea. This is my world. Same, same, but different. P.S. Who are you? This is me. My name is Elliot, and I love to climb trees. My name is Kailash, and I love to climb trees too. Same, same, but different. P.S. Do you live in a tree? That's my tree house where I play. I live in a red brick building with my mom, dad, and baby sister. I live with my family too, all 23 of us. My mom, dad, sister, brother, grandmother, grandfather, aunties, uncles, cousins, and our animals. I have pets too, but not nearly as many as you. Same, same, but different. P.S. What does it look like where you live? A great river flows through my village. Peacocks dance under trees shaped like umbrellas. The sun is giant and especially hot here. In my city, the sun hides behind buildings as tall as the sky. Taxis, buses, and cars fill the streets. Here there are few cars and still too much traffic. Same, same, but different. I ride a bus to school with my friends. So do I. Same, same, but different. This is our alphabet. This is our alphabet. Same, same, but different. My favorite class is art, where I can be anything. My favorite class is yoga, where I can be anything. Same, same, but different. This is how my friends and I say hello. Clasp, shake, secret spiral, snap, bump. This is how my friends and I say hello. Namaste. Same, same, but different. We are best friends, even though we live in two different worlds. Or do we? Different, different, but the same. This morning, I'm going to invite Sterling up to light our lantern so that we can carry our light with us when we leave this room. But for the other kids who are going to follow, come on up, Sterling, that's fine. We'll get started with this in a minute. We're restarting a tradition in the congregation. So starting this week, if you have non-perishable foods, would you hold them up so we can see that you have them? And then the kids can come around and collect them. And Lana is going to have the basket. Lana, you'll probably want to grab the basket now to put them in. So as you're coming up, kids, I want to invite you to grab some food donations, and Lana will help you put them in the basket. And then we're going to go out this door when we leave and go around the building. Let's light our lantern. Okay, Sterling, you're going to hold our lantern to bring down. And everybody else can collect food as you come up. Hold your food up if you have it. Hannah, I see some food over here you can grab, and you can put that in the basket. And we'll sing This Little Light of Mine as we head downstairs, those kids who want to participate in this morning's program.
So now is the time in our service where we share the milestones in our lives with one another. It is a time of coming together as a community in quiet contemplation, a time when we can offer healing and hope, and a time for giving thanks and offering gratitude for blessings great and small. In order to create this space for each other, we refrained from making announcements or sharing political opinions. If you are with us online, please write your milestones in the chat if you wish to share them, or simply place an X for a silent milestone. And we will begin by sharing our silent milestones. Please come up and place a stone in the water as you feel so moved. Just a moment of silent contemplation to think about all of the things that we are holding in our hearts, and think about our loved ones and our neighbors, our friends and our not so friends. When we give our time and energy to the work of this congregation, and when we donate to its financial support, we are giving gifts to each other. Each one of us gives to and receives gifts from all of our members and friends, and together we give to the community around us. There are multiple ways to give this morning. The offering plates will pass here in the sanctuary. To give electronically, you may use the QR code that will be on the screen, and you may also mail a check to UUCD at 24 Claphard Ridge Road in Danbury. Our special offertory music this morning is Together We Will Rise, one of the winners of the 2023 Braver Angels Song Contest. Songwriter Ben Karen says, "I wanted this song to stir our nation to action, to choose civil and compassionate ways of settling our disagreements in service to greater understanding and dignity for all." The offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you for your generosity.
Tell me, if we win this war, will we know the flag we're fighting for? Will we know the cost and whose reward will we? Tell me, what does winning mean? Will we have the world we always dreamed? Will we recognize the side of peace? Will we? And I know we're not the sins of our fathers, nor are we the broken hearts of our mothers. I know we can change the path, reclaim our last good chance to save our lives when we rise. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Calling your angels, the moment has come. Bury your pitchforks, your torches and drums.
The world we want for our daughters and sons will not be won at the end of a gun.
The time's upon us, my neighbors and friends. Tell a new story and bring to an end
All of this madness and mass discontent, but we're the ones who ascend.
We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we can't stand to wait no more. We are united with open arms and eyes. Together we will rise. Make way for youth, they're already prepared. Courage and truth, they are already theirs.
Answers within them will soon come to bear. All that they need is to be made aware.
It's time to move, it's a time for rebirth. It's time to prove what humanity's worth.
Those who will last must now be seated first, for they're the ones who'll inherit the earth.
We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we can't stand to wait no more. We are united with open arms and eyes. Together we will rise. We will not ask for permission. We are the answer that's given.
We are the ones who will return. We are the hope of the living.
We are the ones who we've been waiting for, and we can't stand to wait no more. We are united with open arms and eyes. Together we will rise. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we can't stand to wait no more. We are united with open arms and eyes. Together we will
Just give me a second here to get set. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to tell the members of this congregation a little bit about Braver Angels and its mission to depolarize America. As was mentioned earlier, I'm originally from Texas and I live in Ridgefield, Connecticut. I'm a leader of Braver Angels, both at the national and at the state and local levels here in Connecticut. My first exposure to Braver Angels was just before Thanksgiving in 2020. I was planning to go back to Texas to a family gathering, and to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to the trip. See, I'm the black sheep in the family. I went north to college, and then I made things worse by marrying a Yankee from Bristol. And I then did the ultimate. I had a son and didn't bring him back to Texas to raise him properly. So anyway, I happened to see this course, I think it was online, that I saw the notice, called Family and Politics from Braver Angels. So I said, what the heck, I'll invest a couple of hours and take it. So I did, and armed with fresh depolarizing skills, we went to Texas and I entered the fray. And to my surprise, it worked. For the first time in my adult life, I actually had a productive conversation with my glowingly redneck Uncle Bob. On the plane ride home, my wife commented, you know, this Braver Angel stuff may have some legs. For the first time in my experience, you're actually talking with, not shouting at, and sometimes even smiling with Uncle Bob. So I became a member, and today I'm even more energized about how well our programs can work for anyone if they are given the chance. Let me begin by making clear, Braver Angels is not political, although we talk a lot about politics. We're the nation's largest non-denominational, nonpartisan, nonprofit focused on teaching skills to help our citizens depolarize America. Our focus is to get individual citizens to change their interactions between citizens, organizations, communities, politicians, government bodies, everyone at the local, state, and federal levels. We had a little technology challenge, so I have to wave my hand to go to the next slide. So let's first take a brief look at the world's view of polarization. I'd like to share some information from the Braver Angels website that illustrates the current situation. Americans on opposite sides of the political spectrum don't only disagree on issues. Increasingly, they now dislike one another. As we separate into groups that increasingly do not even know or interact with people with differing opinions, we lose trust in our institutions, eroding the ability to govern ourselves and lowering the caliber of citizenship. This growing trend coarsens public debate. It produces public policy gridlock, shrinks our capacity for goodwill, harms our family and personal relationships. Effective government depends precisely on what this type of polarization destroys. In my experience, I see these play out again and again. Let me ask you with a show of hands. How many of you have neighbors, friends, family, and personal relationships and co-workers with whom you avoid political discussions? Anybody? I've also seen the impact on individuals, including myself, in how Braver Angels workshops and other events can make a real difference. You know, people are actually dual-natured when it comes to polarization. For sure, we are polarized by what's going on in our tempestuous world, but we're also often active polarizers ourselves, mostly unconsciously, adding to the nastiness that is increasingly becoming the norm. I personally am not especially religious in any formal way, but through some of the Braver Angels faith-based workshops, I've learned that Scripture calls us to be peacemakers, to love mercy, act justly, love our neighbors and enemies, respect all, and walk humbly with our God. When engaging politically with like-minded individuals, the member in our tribe, we often observe other members of the tribe stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, displaying contempt for those other folks with different views. This is a kind of polarizing behavior I mentioned. As Christians, you can choose to ignore the behavior and dialogue, or you can join the fray, thereby adding to the conflagration, or you can take action as an act of faith to reduce the rancor while increasing participants' understanding of the issues. Our Depolarizing Ourselves workshop, for example, is all about option number 3. And our other workshops focus on the skills needed to go beyond our own personal polarizing behaviors and work to bring down polarization in the interactions between our tribes and others. Let's begin by why we started this program. It's all about reducing polarization. But polarization has been growing for at least 25 years. It's everywhere. It's impacted politics in Washington, but also at our town school board meetings. It's affected our communities and also our families. And as many of you may have experienced, it's affecting the organizations where we work, volunteer, worship, and learn. The problem in America isn't just that we're growing more divided in our views. There's a growing animosity in our views of each other, something that's been growing between Americans for at least 25 years. And although people think it started with the 2016 or the 2020 or even the 2024 elections, it goes back a long way. To get a sense of how politically polarized we really are, one telling measure we frequently use in Braver Angels is, who are we willing to welcome into our family? In 1960, 4% of Americans and Republicans and 4% of Democrats thought they'd be pretty unhappy if their child married a member of the other political party. Jump forward to 2018, look at the numbers now. 35% of Republicans, 45% of Democrats feel that way. And actually, I'm sure, I haven't seen any recent figures, but I'm sure the numbers are even higher now. In comparison, during that same period, attitudes towards interracial marriage, for example, show the opposite trend, with people of both parties becoming way more comfortable with it. From 1967 to 1923, disapproval went from 80% down to 17%. Many people treat those we disagree with politically as if they're worthless, not worthy of joining our family. Hopefully this illustrates in simplistic terms the importance of actively working together to counter this trend through the practice of better listening and real dialogue. Braver Angels was formed soon after the 2016 election as a national movement to bridge this partisan divide. Our nonprofit organization was inspired by the words of Abraham Lincoln, who called on Americans to summon the better angels of our nature, but called on us to find the courage needed to pursue a more perfect union, with malice towards none, with charity for all, and with firmness in the right. Personally, my favorite quotation that's attributed to Honest Abe goes along the lines of, "I don't like that man. I must get to know him better." And that very much embodies the Braver Angels creed. What I've been describing, this growing dislike, distrust, and animosity towards those who hold political views that differ from our own, is called affective polarization. That's what Braver Angels is working to address. In working to reduce affective polarization, Braver Angels' mission is to bring Americans together to bridge the partisan divide and strengthen our democratic republic. The Braver Angels way addresses this not by trying to change people's views. That's not what we're about. But by changing people's views of one another. In Braver Angels, we try to take on a shared commitment. As individuals, we try to understand the other's point of view, even if we don't agree with it. In our communities, we engage with those we disagree with, looking for common ground and ways to work together. And to be clear, maybe even a little bit repetitive, Braver Angels does not take sides. We don't endorse candidates or promote a position on issues. Our focus is helping everyone, citizens, elected officials, organizations at all levels, learn the skills to reduce polarization and seek common ground so we can make progress on the many serious issues we face in this country and beyond. And we carry out this mission with very few paid staff. We're predominantly volunteers, so in many ways, Braver Angels is more like a citizens movement than an organization. Nationally, we've had, in the past 7 years, over 4,000 events with over 55,000 participants. We have thousands of active volunteers across the country. We have 13,000 dues-paying members. Dues at Braver Angels are outrageously high. It costs $12 a year. And we have something like 135,000 active subscribers to our newsletters. And countless more who've heard about us through increasing media coverage. We've been covered on CBS Sunday Morning, many evening news shows. We've gotten a lot of good coverage and press of all kinds. As many of these people have been exposed to Braver Angels, believe that Americans must move beyond the toxic polarization and find common ground amidst our differences. In addition to these individual commitments, one of the things that makes Braver Angels unique as an organization is a commitment to the principle that at every level of organizational guidance, red and blue leaders should be equally represented. That applies both to our national leadership team and to our individual Braver Angels alliances, which need to have a red or red-leaning co-chair and a blue or blue-leaning co-chair. And by red and blue, we mean basically conservative and liberal. Also, a growing number of members and volunteers see themselves not as Republicans or Democrats, red or blue, but rather as independents without a particular leaning. Accordingly, more than a dozen of our alliances have tapped a third co-chair to represent that group, sometimes referred as purples. I'm a purple. That's why I have my purple lanyard. All orientations of all kinds, political, gender, sex, religion, whatever, are welcome under the Braver Angels tent. Braver Angels is organized for action. It starts with 6 major program teams and more being added as needed. The main ones currently are Braver Citizens is at the heart of Braver Angels. We organize citizens at the grassroots level across all 50 states through membership recruitment, local alliance building, regional leadership, development, convention delegation, and community events, including workshops, debates, and town halls. Our Braver Politics Department Thrust program empowers elected officials to bridge the partisan divide and improve communication with their colleagues and constituents through specifically developed programs, again, including workshops, debates, and town halls. Recently, for example, in the New Hampshire legislature, a Braver Angels caucus has been formed. The same thing is coming into being in Minnesota. We're having some early conversations in Connecticut. We're progressing a little better than they are, but we're still working at it. So this is a trend which we think is going to spread. Braver Network is a relatively new activity. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. It partners with local and national organizations supportive of our mission and creates Braver Angels programs and collaborations with hundreds of other civics groups and even houses of worship. Braver Campuses seeks to influence culture and curricula at all levels of education through debate programs, lessons plans, and partnerships with organizations such as BRID USA and the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. Braver U collaborates with academics, policy experts, data analysts, authors, film producers, artists, and musicians with the Scholars Council, public forum discussions, independent program evaluations, etc. The Braver Media tells the story of Braver Angels, our mission, members, and impact through the creation and dissemination of newsletters, podcasts, field reporting, guest articles, social media, video, and earned media coverage. We have an ever-evolving toolkit of offerings. Through our toolkit, Braver Angels helps Americans understand each other beyond stereotypes, form community alliances, and reduce the vitriol that weakens our civic culture. The tools include dozens of different workshops and skills trainings, both in person, online, and self-paced e-courses. Family and Politics, for example, is one of those workshops. One-on-one conversations across differences is fascinating. It's where we pair 2 people up to have a conversation, whether it's on Zoom or by phone or in person, but not just across political divides, but also crossing generational, cultural, ethnic, and urban rural divides. I had a fascinating conversation with a young high school student farmer in the wilds of Idaho. I don't know anything about farming. We had a wonderful conversation. He's very conservative. I'm not so much. Those are great experiences. We have live and recorded town halls and debates, including college and local community debate format, which isn't a win-lose competition, but in Braver Angels world, it's more a managed conversation, a collective search for truth. We recently had a debate in Ridgefield that was all about what role should religion play in politics. Fascinating discussion. We also do film screenings, book clubs, and many more things. And finally, we have the all-important, often invisible infrastructural support teams, who are, for the most part, volunteers with incredible talent in these skill sets, who are there to help our members and partners be as effective as they can in spreading the word of our mission far and wide. Now, we know that the scale of the problem of polarization is such that one organization alone can't change the country, but a movement can. And Braver Network is an attempt to expand what we're doing and turn it into a true movement. Organizations of every kind have been impacted by the effects of toxic polarization. So they're eager to do what they can do to help improve their own internal cultures within those organizations and the communities they serve. Our Braver Network program is creating a network of organizations who support our mission. And we're helping them build their own capacity to bridge building work with their members. For example, encouraging their staff to attend our monthly Skills for Bridging the Divide partner workshops, to engage their staff as trainees in the Braver Angels ambassador and moderator training programs. We help them learn Zoom techniques to manage online sessions as well. We realize that one organization can't tackle the problem of polarization, but hundreds can. Braver Network started about 18 months ago. We have over 340 organizations already committed to the network. And if all of these efforts remain true to our commitment, that it's not others' views that need changing, but rather our views towards each other. So, Braver Network is a rapidly growing network of national and community organizations of every kind, nonprofits, schools, religious congregations such as yours, and corporations large and small, representing Americans from across the political divide and building a broadly based movement for civic renewal. At the local level, our state and regional alliances are organizational structures that bring Braver Angels to work to communities. There are now alliances in almost every state, 109 at last count, and some states have multiple alliances. Alliances bridge divides and find common ground, are led by red and blue co-chairs and sometimes independent purples. At last count, there are 111 red co-chairs, 112 blue, and 16 purples and growing. Alliances create activities, local activities like coffee and conversations group, book discussions, or other events. And with the help of trained organizers and moderators, alliances plan and deliver nationally designed workshops and events for their local communities. In Connecticut, we currently have one statewide alliance. We have over 900 subscribers to our newsletter, over 150 paying members, and a growing group of terrific volunteers. We've hosted a number of events which you can learn about on our website, and that's our website up there. One more thing, how are we doing on these efforts? Braver Angels has engaged outside evaluators to review our programs. In surveys of those who have attended, for example, our Skills for Bridging the Divide workshop, as a result of participating in the workshop, the participants reported 86% feel they can set a constructive tone when starting conversations with those of the other side. 88 feel confident in expressing their views so the other side can hear them, and 94% believe they can now listen in a way so that those on their other side feel heard. Very important things. And Braver Angels is regularly evaluating all of its programs and methods to continually improve upon them. So that's about it for me. I really appreciate the opportunity to tell you about Braver Angels. I don't know whether we have time for questions and answers. but I can take a few. But before I start that part, let me just say, I'm also welcome to stay after the service and talk with people more. I'd also say that out here in the hallway on the left, you'll find some Brave Rangers brochures, and very importantly, at least to me, there's a few evaluation sheets with the big QR code that you can scan. It also has a link if you prefer typing in links, QR codes. We really appreciate any feedback that you could give us. That's how we improve our presentations and activities. Also, my email, I think, can we put that email back up for a second? No, don't worry about it. My email is very hard. It's gholland@braverangels.org. So please feel free if you have any questions, want to know about anything, want any guidance, please reach out to me. So, open floor.
Okay, and even though you know you have a very big voice and can be heard, we need you on the mic for our Zoom people and our recording. So Dean's going to walk around with the mic. So just raise your hand and he'll come by. Oh, and if you're online, type something in the chat if you want to ask Gary, and I will read it out loud.
Well, I guess I did my job well. Either that or I put you asleep.
Ro has a question.
Your talk actually was very, it was very complete, so there was not many questions left. But if you're, I'm very interested, to be honest, and so what would my next step be?
Your next step, frankly, I would suggest is go to either the braverangels.org national website, or if you go to ct.braverangels.org, you'll be taken specifically to the Connecticut website, which I always encourage people to maybe think about starting with the Connecticut website, because when you go to the Braver Angels, we're doing so many things in so many areas. It's more than overwhelming. It's really like drinking from a giant fire hose. But there is so much information. There are so many things going on in so many different areas. Regardless of what your specific interest areas are, more than likely there's something that Braver Angels is doing that will appeal to you. All right. I mean, I'll just mention some other things. For example, our workshops. A lot of our workshops are long, 2, 3, 4 hours. Some of them even take 2 or 3 days. And those kinds of courses really require a Braver Angels trained moderator to facilitate. And we're happy to help organize those kinds of things for you here at in the church, or if you want to be a sponsor for something for the Danbury community, we could work on something like that. But there is one course which our faith-based group has recently released called Depolarizing Ourselves. It's a short, it's a 90-minute course, and it's packaged in such a way that one of you, for example, could go online, take the self-study course, watch a couple of videos of someone delivering this course, and you can deliver it yourself. I had that experience myself because I just took the course and I just delivered my first workshop this last week. It was a pretty light lift, and I think the audience that was at the presentation in Glastonbury was very appreciative of the course, because the road to depolarization, as I mentioned, polarization, people are schizophrenic. You are both a polarized person and you also are an active polarizer. And so step one is getting more in touch with your personal polarizer. So then you can start building across the political divide.
Thank you, Gary. My name is Jeff. Even though politics is not supposed to be brought into this, clearly it is. And I'm wondering if you've done any surveys that look at who you're pulling in. Is this an echo chamber of independents and people that could be on one side versus the other?
Well, as I said, organizationally, we're very much focused on being balanced between red, blue, and purple. Our membership, it varies a lot in terms of which way it leans in any given area, and that reflects more the local population. In Connecticut, for example, our organization is a lot bluer than I would like. We continually are striving and working to bring those of a more conservative bent into the fold. Actually, it's blue and independent because there's a lot of independents in Connecticut. You go into Texas, for example, it's the other way around. The Texas alliances are filled full of, you know, my redneck relatives, and they're struggling trying to get the left-leaning folks to come in and participate. We're pretty successful at doing it. We keep working at it. And most importantly, our events and activities are aimed at being safe spaces. And that's the part that people have found so wonderful about coming to one of our events. For example, we had another debate in Ridgefield where we were talking about diversifying housing options in Ridgefield. And it was a pretty evenly balanced audience of conservatives and liberals and independents. And I was very pleased afterwards. Several people that I happen to know are very strong right-leaning came up to me. They said, you know, for the first time in a long time, I have to say I enjoyed being able to have a balanced conversation. And that's what we strive to bring. So it is a challenge. So whatever your leaning is, join us. Help us. Help us recruit people from all sides. Oh, let me just mention one other thing. We also have a lot of special interest group. We have a very, I don't know if there's any military veterans here, but we have a very active military caucus. We have the LGBTQ caucus. We have a bunch of different caucuses of different special interests as well. So
Do you ever go to homeowners associations?
we go anywhere. You know, we're happy to go anywhere. We're happy to help anybody. If people are interested in learning about depolarization, or if they have a particularly polarized situation that they want some help diffusing, we sometimes can get involved. So.
Hi, I'm Liz. Thanks for the presentation. I don't know if this is on.
It's on.
It is? Okay. Well, I have a brother, and I feel like it's very difficult to talk to him. It's not that his political beliefs are conservative. It's that he lives in a different reality with a different set of facts, because they are facts and reality that he has been told on media outlets and in his church are real, and they're not real. And so he can't talk to me because, for instance, I'm woke, even though he can't define what woke is. And I have my head up my ass because I can't see what's going on in the country. So this is not like, the difference is not between politically liberal and politically conservative. I don't see his views as conservative at all, but as cultish. So I'm sure that this is something that you've considered and worked with.
It's not unusual. It's me and my Uncle Bob.
It's my brother's Bob, too.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's genetic with people named Bob. I don't know. You know, one of the things that we say in Brave was, first of all, the first thing we say to people in our courses is, if you have any thoughts of changing a neighbor or a friend or a family member's opinion, give it up. Only they can do that, all right? But what we can convey are some simple techniques. They must be simple because I've learned some of them, that you can use to build a bridge to your brother so that the two of you can talk. I get the sense that you're really not talking with each other, but at each other. And what give you a simple example. When you're talking with someone and you have a tendency, you may have a tendency to say to them, well, why do you think that? And that's a word that we teach, take out of your vocabulary. Because why is a word which immediately raises your blood pressure of the person you're talking to. A better approach to say to them is, well, you know, that's really very interesting. Could you share with me how you reached that opinion? What information did you gather? And what's the advantage of that? How is an invitation to share a story? You're asking them to share their story with you. And you're recognizing that you want to hear their opinion. And you want to hear, how did they get to that point? And with luck, what happens, they may respond, and frequently do. They may turn around and say to you, well, okay, well, you think so-and-so. How did you reach that point? And that's the basis of a conversation. That's the beginning of a conversation. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done. All right. And we think we have some good techniques to help. So check out our website. Take an online course or two. Yes, ma'am.
Nancy's going to be our last question, and then
Okay. My question is, what would you do if someone is not even curious about how you came to your conclusions that they happen to feel like they know what they are?
Again, there are some techniques you can use. You can say, I'm very interested to have heard how you reached your conclusions. Would you be interested in hearing some of my story? Ask the question. Now, they may shut you down, but all you can do is try, right? And what we focus on is giving people skills and language and techniques that let you try. There's no guarantees you're going to bridge that divide. But what we found in case after case after case, so often people don't feel heard. They feel misunderstood. And let me clarify something for you. Some people feel, I can't take the time to understand that asshole, because if I understand him, I might agree with him. And the point I make with people is, understanding is just that. It is not agreement. And if person A takes the time to understand where person B is coming from, and vice versa, you then have a basis for beginning to inquire, do we have any common ground? And you may find that there are some of the views that your brother has, if you can get him to communicate them to you, you may find that you agree with some aspects, not completely. And that's why we say to people, look for the things you can agree on, because that's what we're missing in our country. No matter how hairy the issue is, there is always common ground. I went to a day-long session that was pro-life, pro-choice. And in the beginning of that session, those two groups were at each other's throats. By the end of it, they had found 15 or 20 points where there actually was common ground. Now, the pro-life people didn't change their viewpoint overall, nor did the pro-choice people. But they found that there was common ground where they could work together, and even today they continue to work together. They can work together to improve the situation where you have, let's face it, very few people really want an abortion. But people who are faced, they have to make life decisions. And there are things which we can all do to facilitate those people making the right decision for them. And anyway, well, listen, again, thank you ever so much. I'll hang around a little bit if people have more questions or want to chat about anything. And thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, Gary. We're going to sing Building Bridges now, which is hymn number
1023.
1023. The words will be on our screen, too.
I'll do them from here, and then we'll find where I put them. Oops, I'm gonna sit down. My legs sometimes get out on me. Let us create together a a world where we can have conversations with friends, neighbors, and even family who hold completely different beliefs. Conversations where there's no dismissing, yelling, or shutting down, but rather listening, understanding, and finding common ground. We can all be braver angels, even in the face of division. I hope you'll join me.
Now we are going to extinguish our chalice. So please join me in the words on the screen. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. And now we will rise in body or spirit and sing our Song of Action, Hymn of Action, number 108, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.